Hi guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about David Avanesyan, Josh Kelly, and Florian Marku and Violent Charlton, the co-main and the main event. I mean, you could see there's 5 fights. I don't think we need to cover those. I mean, Johnny Fisher with a quite simple victory over Matt Gordon. Didn't expect nothing less. John Gill being roughed up, but coming through unboxing great against a tough Mexican, and Robbie Davis Jr. losing on a majority decision, which I felt was unanimous. So there's not much to talk about in those. By the way, this weekend has been the best weekend for boxing, I think, since the comeback. We've had so many great fights. We had Charlton Valdez. That was a hell of a fight. A hell of a fight. And I was gonna say I wouldn't mind seeing it again about 6 rounds in. When he gets knocked spark out. I mean, luckily he's been released and all that, so he's safe and well. It's good to see. We had Brona Santiago card with Rob Easter Jr. and Otto Wallin at times beating up Dominic Brazil, to be honest. I mean, at times you think he took lots of shots on that tonight. Brazil is really now an opponent for people. So back to what the video's about. We want to talk about Florian Marku and Raylan Charlton. That was it was a good fight, but it hadn't delivered in a way. Um, Marku chose to box on the back foot wisely. Um, Raylan Charlton, Raylan Charlton's fundamentals maybe not as good as he's not technically a great boxer. Um, By the way, I just want to say he came in at 144.5, and I have seen him coming at 140 on his box rec. So I'll be talking about the opportunities at 140 for him. Because I think Violent John can be made into a good domestic fighter. It's just a shame that he's not really a ticket seller. So he is the B side. He was the B side against Joe Laws and was the B side tonight. And Florian Marku, I don't like him. I think I think there's every boxer displays an amount of arrogance, but what he displayed last night was too much. For me, it was just disrespectful, to be honest. Um, but like I said, really, the first round was close. You could give it 10-9 either way, or 10-10. I'm not a fan of giving 10-10 rounds. I try not to. Um, and then really the second and third rounds were really Marku picking him off. And in the fourth round, Marku hurt him really bad, and how he managed to stay up. His legs were like jelly, and it was so awkward that Marku couldn't get him down. And 20, 30 seconds more, and Charlton would have got out there. He was hurt seriously bad, and he came back well in the fifth round. He came back well in the fifth round to do what he did. I mean, his legs didn't seem there. Um, But he was coming back, and in the sixth round, he lands a big left hook. Well, what seemed like a big left hook. I mean, Marku used to be a kickboxer, yeah. So sometimes he just straighten his stance out. His stance can cross sometimes. So he's caught square, and when you land a big left hook like that, and someone who's square, they're gonna go down. And Ryder Charlton can hit. And yeah, he can hit. His record kind of doesn't suggest it in a way, but he can. So in the seventh round, extremely good for Marku. I thought, considering he got put down, he bounced back good. And then the 8th round, it started to come too much for Charlton. And Charlton, by the way, is a tough cookie. I seriously, when you're getting beaten up at times like he did in that fight, and you're still coming forward and you're putting him down, and you think, Christ, could he come back like that? I just get so humbled by, and like it's like a story in life, and I know it's gonna go deep, but it's like no matter what happens, you can come back from it. That's the morals I have towards her, and it's inspiring, and it makes me think, oh, I just want to go to the gym. I'm hungry. I just want to go to the gym and spa and do all things like stuff like that makes me hungry, you know. But anyway, enough about our deepness. Marku with a good performance. I still think he's a lot to improve on. I don't like him at all. I would like to see him get knocked out, but it was a good performance. I mean, you could say the Violent Johnson's win against Joe Laws isn't as good as what people made out to mean just because they upset the apple cart. I mean, Joe Laws, G-Man, straight out called Joe Laws a joke, to be honest. I mean, you can say what you want. I think Joe Laws isn't serious enough to make it anywhere in boxing. I think he won't be any more than a domestic welterweight. And because he's a ticket seller, he'd get away with it, you know. But very surprised how tough Ryland Charlton was. He is muscle bound, and I felt that would be an issue, but I felt his stamina was pretty alright for a muscle bound guy. So I was thinking, what if he takes some of that muscle off and goes down to 140? I think if you completely stripped him of his muscle, you could go to 135, but when you strip him completely of his muscle, that that really takes away his strength and his power. So 140, I'd like to see run Charlton, and his opportunities is like a Joe Hughes fight. Joe Hughes 6 losses, hasn't been stopped. That would be a good fight over like 8 or 10 rounds. But I think Violet Charlton should not be at all just put on the side and forgotten about and just become an opponent. I think he offers something domestically, and he can be a good domestic fighter. That's why this card was so good. It was except the Johnny Fisher fight and the John Gill fight and the Robbie Davis Jr. fight. So basically, the top two, the main event and the co-main event, were 50-50s, and that's what we want. That is completely what we want. We go on to the main now card, and Josh Kelly, after 2 or 3 rounds, 3 rounds, has put a masterclass on. And then you got cut in the back. Yeah, I've seen excuses like, oh, he's been losing so much blood. I don't know if he was. I can understand, and I said as soon as he lost, I said, boys, because we have a group chat about boxing. We just talk about boxing hardcore group chat. I said, boys, as soon as he lost, I said, boys, 154 is going to get talked about. And it has been talked about, and I think he'd move up to 154. The thing is, the jump between welterweight and super welterweight, I believe, is the biggest jump. Obviously, you've got cruiser to heavyweight, but in the smaller weight divisions, welterweight to super welterweight is the biggest jump. Because I think the average welterweight is something like 5'9", and then you've got super welterweight that are just skinny middleweights. Because back in the days, super welterweight wasn't a huge division. It was literally seen as the stepping stone from becoming a welterweight to a middleweight. You see Felix Trinidad do a, you know, he's an example. 154 was seen as a stepping stone. And what would usually happen is skilled welterweights would beat super welterweights who were seen as less skilled. In some cases. And skilled welterweights would usually put on a clinic and move up to middleweight. And that's where Felix Trinidad got found out. in his example. But Josh Kelly moving up to 154 is a shout. But I think it's such the size difference between those two weight classes means Josh Kelly may be a small super welterweight. He may be on a smaller end. He's about 5'10", about 5'10" and a half, I think, or something like that. He was a massive. He probably rehydrated to 165 or something. So maybe he'd be all right. He maybe be a medium size, but it's a big weight jump. It's like Kell Brook. They always talked about him being bigger 147. He was a small 154 pounder. So we'll see what happens. But on to the fight. For the first 3 rounds, he's put on a clinic. He was really doing well. And in the second round, he catches Avanesyan with a counter left hook. No, a check left hook, sorry. And wobbles him. Now, I don't know if he necessarily hurt him or or whether it was kind of an off-balance thing which multiplied the impact. I'd rather lean to the latter. But you could say it was a bit of both. And Josh Kelly put it on him for like a spurt of 10-15 seconds, didn't get anything out of him. And Avanesyan kept coming forward, and Kelly's power was waning. I mean, Kelly does have respectable power, but the speed and the technique produces that power. He's not a naturally powerful person, I think, because when you think of it, guys, welterweight in the Olympics is 69 kilos. I think that's like a 152. So and he didn't necessarily find it that hard to box at welterweight, but now he is. So you could say he's going up to his former weight class in a way from the amateurs. Um, and yeah, pretty much after the 3rd round, he just kind of slowed down and he started moving a lot and started retreating to the ropes. And when you're going to pressure fight like I don't retreat to the ropes. You don't. You stand. You should. You should literally just stick a jab out, double it, triple it, And I see Josh Kelly on a pad work double and tripling, but he doesn't do it in the ring, and Adam Booth, I think, is tad overrated as a trainer. I just gotta be honest. He's got to heavily work on his defense. His defense is his worst asset. But yeah, the 4th and the 5th rounds, the tide was turning, and then in the 6th round, he just looked knackered. Just knackered, and Avanesyan dropped him, and then he significantly hurt him and dropped him again, and Tower got through win. Kind of reminded me of the Sean McComb Gavin Gwynn fight, but Gavin Gwynn out hustled him and made him tired, like Avanesyan, but McComb wasn't having as much success. But Avanesyan not reclaims, he defends his European welterweight title and possibly moves on to fringe world level. I mean, world level a welterweight is disgusting. I mean, the top 10 are brilliant in our weight class. Certainly the top 5. The top 5 for me, you're going to be a special talent to touch our top 5 currently. I mean, think of it. You got Crawford, Pacquiao, Spence. Not in any particular order. You got Crawford, Pacquiao, Spence, Danny Garcia, Crawford. Not Crawford. There's so many. That's what I'm trying to get at. And to me, those guys are going to be special. So I don't think Avanesyan will ever be ready for them with his style. I think he would get outboxed at world level. I think fringe world level, he could have some good fights there. I mean, Adrian Broner looked pretty poor last night. I mean, he should have lost, really, in my eyes. But yeah, anyway, that's my past fight review. And it was a good card. I prefer these 50-50 matchups. Last week's card was a true sleeper, but this week's card was alright. So, yeah, guys, for now, take care. Peace.